Coming up on Gunter's Universe, episode 43, I am talking with Hamza Siddiqui, CEO of Casino VR. We'll be talking about playing poker in VR as well as other casino games, along with how body language in social VR can affect a player's ability to read another player Shoot. I'm going to start that over. Take 2. Coming up on Gunter's Universe, episode 43, I'm talking with Hamza Siddiqui, CEO of Casino VR. We'll be talking about playing poker in VR, as well as other casino games, along with how body language in social VR can affect a player's ability to read another, which will take online poker to the next level. Stay tuned. And there'll be some music here. Welcome everyone to Gunter's Universe. This is the one and only live talk show broadcasting from the metaverse. Join us in VRChat every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific to watch the show live in VR. You can also watch the live stream at twitch.tv/Gunter444. Welcome back to the show, Bob Nichols. He is my co-host. He'll be reading the latest in VR news. How are you doing, Bob?
Fantastic.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and meet our guest for the night. Our guest is the CEO of Casino VR. Casino VR is a multiplayer Texas Hold'em game, playable now with the DK2. I had the pleasure of playing poker using Casino VR with 6 of my friends here from VRChat, and let me tell you, it was pretty great. Hamza, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks for having me. It looks pretty cool. Everyone around with us while talking. It's pretty cool. That's the first thing I've seen. First talk show I've seen in VR. So yeah.
I really enjoy doing this. It's pretty cool. It's novel. I'm now on show 43. I never thought this would really happen, and it's amazing the quality of guests I'm able to bring on the show, and really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
All right, Bob, let's hear a bit of recent news.
I'm Cousin Fix, bringing you the top VR headline news from this past week. Our top story this week: Florida-based AR company Magic Leap announced a whopping $793.5 million in new funding today. New investment comes from Alibaba Group, Warner Brothers, and Tier 1 financial institutions including Fidelity, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Wellington Management Company. Continued investment comes from Google, Qualcomm Incorporated through its venture investment group Qualcomm Ventures, and others. Magic Leap also announced today an expanded role for one of its founding board directors and co-founder of Weta Companies, Sir Richard Taylor. Richard will also serve as the company's arts ambassador to China, where he will focus primarily on building deep links between the Chinese creative community and Magic Leap.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I can't wait to, we of course want to see more of Magic Leap, and Magic Leap's here in Florida, which is where I am, about 2 hours away. I should probably go knock on their door and say, hey, let me Periscope in here or something. What's going on?
Valve's Steam VR Developer Showcase announced 12 titles shipping in 2016 for the HTC Vive this past week. These titles include the zombie apocalypse first-person shooter Arizona Sunshine by Vertigo Games, the rhythm game Audio Shield by Dylan Fitterer, the first-person stealth game Budget Cuts by Meat Corporation, Cloudlands VR Minigolf by Future Town, Space Simulator Elite Dangerous by Frontier Development, physics puzzle game Fantastic Contraption by Northway Games,
so cool,
air traffic management game Final Approach by Phaser Lock Interactive, post-apocalyptic first-person shooter Hover Junkers by Stress Level Zero,
oh yeah,
job simulator The 2020 Archives by Alchemy Labs, the first-person shooter Space Pirate Trainer by iLlusions, fantasy exploration game The Gallery Call of Starseed by Cloudhead Games, and 3D painting program Tiltbrush by Google.
Love it. That's
And
great.
tracking company Matt, did you want to?
It is like a little awkward. Like I don't know when the story exactly ended because I forgot to put them in the notes, and so I'm just making little comments. But no, let's. I mean, I'm excited about all those Vive titles. Hamza, is there any specific like titles in that list that stand out to you? Did you get to catch those titles at all?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Hover Junkers, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Budget Cuts seems really awesome. Yeah, those are the two titles that I'm probably looking forward to on the Vive much more than anything else.
I didn't realize Tilt Brush was Google. It's kind of interesting.
Well, they got bought by
buy it?
Google. Originally, it wasn't Google.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next story?
And tracking company Leap Motion have announced the winners of the second 3D Jam. This year there are 2 tracks, AR/VR and Open, with over $75,000 in cash and prizes. Winners of the AR/VR track include, in third place, RPS Island. Ever imagine the rock, paper, scissors could save your life? In RPS Island, you must defeat a never-ending onslaught of enemies by signaling their weakness. In second place, Warlock VR. Throw spells across the room, shoot plasma balls, and harness cosmic power with Warlock VR. Now with multiplayer mode so you can battle your friends.
Oh shit,
And-
multiplayer.
Yep. And the winner of the AR/VR track was Lyra VR. Or is it Lyra? Lyra.
That's cool.
Lyra is an enormously powerful virtual playground that lets you create music in 3D space. Chain chords, melodies, and instruments together to compile webs, then watch and listen to it unfold. Congratulations, 3D Jam winners.
Yay.
Google has shared some insights on its blog about the Google Cardboard from the past 19 months. These include over 5 million Google Cardboard viewers have shipped. Over 25 million Cardboard apps have been installed, and of those, 10 million were installed between October and December of last year. The top 5 Cardboard apps are Share in a Room, Verse, Lamper VR Firefly Rescue, Cardboard, and Proton Pulse.
Oh yeah, Proton Pulse.
Yep. Over 350,000 hours of YouTube videos have been watched in VR. Over 750,000 VR photos have been taken with Cardboard camera, and over 500,000 students have gone on expeditions with Google Cardboard.
Cool. All right, so we're going to take a quick moment to ask Kieran one more time to have a seat in the stands. I hate to have to boot you, buddy. It's cool. We're all cool here. Why don't you have a seat back in the stands, else we will have to take measures. I assume you can hear. Thank you. By the way, the best way for things to happen. All right, and we'll resume things.
All right.
Sorry about that.
No, it's cool. It was just a bit weird.
Yeah, got in your space.
Yeah, that's one thing about VR. Like you really pay attention to your personal space. It's
Yeah.
quite surprising.
You had to get up and out of it. It's like, come on, bro. And all right, I gotta back up.
Yeah.
All right, Bob.
On its earnings call last week, Apple CEO Tim Cook was asked if he saw VR as niche or something that would be successful in the future. He said, quote, "I don't think it's niche. I think it's really cool and has some interesting applications." Apple has yet to publicly announce anything VR related. However, Google Cardboard is available on the iOS App Store, and they have recently hired Doug Bowman, who was the director of the Center for Human-Computer Interaction at Virginia Tech.
Cool.
And finally, Oculus founder Palmer Luckey posted a poll on his Twitter this past Friday with, quote, "No promises, but want to get feedback. Who would be interested in buying a bundle of all the Rift launch titles? Of the 4,615 votes, 64% were interested, 17% were not interested, and 19% joke answer."
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you can not be interested, but because of course you want like how many titles, how much, but yeah, can't wait to see what happens. I think it's an interesting idea. I would, a lot of us fanboys, of course, probably buy into that. What do you think, Hamza?
Yeah, yeah, there was some talk maybe they're working on a subscription model or something like that, to figure out what could be thing like but I mean if you think about it in the beginning, even if there are like 100 titles, in order for the economics to work, it doesn't really have to be that expensive. If you have to pay a monthly fee or something, but I see it very unlikely that they would go with a model like that. But it's cool, like all the Rift titles combined into one. Why not?
All right. Cool, thanks, Bob. Normally have a chair for Bob, but here in VR land, when it's beta software, things broke this last build, but we'll get it all fixed. So thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
All right, let's get into the interview. Hamza, tell me a bit about your background and past projects you've worked on.
All right, cool. So I have been kind of like an entrepreneur since I began. I graduated. I've always studied business, so I graduated doing my business degree in 2011. The last year of that degree, I started a startup in my own country, worked on it for 1.5 years, crashed it completely, then went on to work for another startup that went much better than the previous one. And then I decided, okay, let's go to Switzerland, because why not, to study, pursue my master's degree. I ended up getting into a very pretty cool Swiss university focusing on business strategy. And the first thing that we got to discuss and talk about was, how businesses in the new era revolve a lot around tech. And I have always been a geek to say, I was giving presentations on augmented reality when the tech was like 10 years ago or something. So we took some of that discussion, and some of us during that class started talking about, what if we start a company together, what could it be? And eventually it ended up being what you call a VR venture studio. So our idea was that virtual reality is finally coming. This is 2 years ago. And we said, okay, let's try out some cool ideas. Let's see what works, what doesn't work, and take it from there. We started with a lot of ideas, turned them into prototypes. Then, some ideas got scrapped, some ideas went forward. And fast forward now, as the other venture studio, we're focusing on 3 main ideas right now. Out of that is one is Casino VR. So I am now also working full-time for Casino VR, but also the other venture studio I'm also a part of. So yeah, not that fancy, but yeah.
I saw something on your LinkedIn that said QBXNet, and I was just curious what that is.
Yeah, exactly. That's the venture studio. So QBX was started between me and 4 other co-founders in Switzerland. And right now it is, it's still operational. And the idea is to just try out ideas in more frontier tech in Europe, which in Europe, you don't really hear that much about frontier tech, or even if you do,
Sure.
the barriers to like entry for a normal European entrepreneur is much higher than anyone in the valley. So we have this mission to ease that process to help European entrepreneurs enter into frontier tech, and that is the mission we have been working on up till now.
Very nice. I'm going to roll on to Casino VR next. I do want to kind of point out to people probably wondering what that noise is in the background. It sounds like somebody's vacuuming. You must be in more of an office public place, I imagine, unless it's your maid.
Yeah, exactly. It's my office, and
Yeah.
I have no idea who's vacuuming right.
Sure. It's no big deal. You're sounding loud and clear, but just wanted to, well, I'm sure people were wondering. Okay.
All right.
So
Sorry about
I
that,
saw
but yeah.
No reason to apologize. It's the internet, it's VR. We can't control everything. So I really appreciate being able to make the time. It's not convenient for everybody. But
Are we doing opening questions?
At the end, yeah, at the end of the show,
Okay.
we'll open things up for audience questions. I may cover your question during the show. Who knows? I saw you on SBVR, I guess it was number 22, like 4 months ago, so that's how I discovered what you guys are working on. So, well, that may have been you or may not have been you, but it's somebody from your team. That was really cool. I was really excited about the project, and it's great that it came out not too long after, and so I'm hearing great things about it. I had my cool experience. But just, to start things off, tell us, when did you start this, and why do you think Casino VR is something you want to get behind on and invest so much time?
Yeah, definitely. So we started this company a bit more than 1.5 years ago. And the idea was back then that one of my other co-founders, Marco, he used to play poker professionally in Switzerland. So if you follow the poker scene a bit, you know that real life poker versus online poker, it's a completely different experience. And it has evolved into that kind of experience. I mean, real life poker has been the same pretty much since the game was invented, but online has been progressing very rapidly with companies like Zynga, Double Down, Real Money Side, Poker Stars, and so on and so forth. And progressively, what started was that it's I don't even call it poker anymore, the online poker, because I mean sure it follows the logic of poker, but in terms of experience, a much different game. It's much more analytical game, rather than the real life counterpart, which is that you want to have that social experience, that you want to feel that you can look someone in the eye and figure out if he's bluffing or not, and that has been the part of the real life experience. Um, and so we started with talking to a lot of poker players, if really our assumption was true. And after a couple of months, we realized, okay, yeah, this is really something like that is a gap right now in the market, you can say, or in the experience, you can say, that a lot of real life poker players are either very hardcore real life poker players, they don't want to play online poker, or vice versa, and that is because of this experience difference. And around the same time, there was when Oculus was heating up, the war was talking about virtual reality, and as QBX, we were already thinking about something like that. So we said, okay, you know what, VR can promise probably immersion in terms of presence, right? Like right now we're sitting all around each other, even though we're all avatars, but we feel like, okay, there are real persons behind it, and you feel immersed in this kind of really futuristic Gunters universe, right? And a lot of that is being done by what Oculus or other VR companies have, hardware companies have able to accomplish. So we started with the basic assumption that we can for sure from day one make people immersed in any environment. And be it a casino, right? Like you build a fascinating casino, you put people in there, and put the consumer versions of VR headsets on them. They would just have like a wow effect. But that was, for us, to be honest, a starting point. We said, okay, if we can make people feel as if they're in a casino, what makes them act also as if they're a casino. What makes them forget that they're sitting on their couch, or like me in the office right now, and make them really play poker like it was supposed to be played all along, and has been, in real life poker. So in the
Right.
beginning, we realized. I'm sorry if I'm going into a lot of detail here.
No,
Um,
please.
in the beginning, we realized that the social experience is going to be a major part of our game. So internally, we started testing a lot on what kind of social experiences we want. Obviously, we figured out voice is very essential in making people communicate, so on and so forth. But then out of a sudden, we were just out of the blue working on on an IK algorithm, um, and we were like, okay, always, if you guys know inverse kinematics, it's an algo that maps your your body relative to whatever point of reference you give it. So for example, if I'm moving my head up and down, how should the rest of my body move? And we always
Right.
realized that up till the point in the gaming industry, all the IK algos that were there, they came to a point where they could work in games, but as soon as you put in um, a completely independent variable, which is in terms of like head movement, you cannot really predict how the head moves and how the user would want to move. Any kind of experience that you want to build on the rest of the body, it's going to be quite superficial. It's going to be exaggerated. It's not going to feel grounded. But we said, okay, you know what, fuck it. Let's keep on exploring. So we ended up um, we we ended up working on just that specific part of the game for more than 7 months, through painstaking iterations of, okay, our head is going inside our body to, the hand movement is too weird, and stuff like that. So in the end, we came to a conclusion where if we could see that that IK is working to a level where it adds a layer of immersion in the game where you can say, okay, because I can see the person moving in 6 degrees of space, that is something novel, and that is something that I can pretty much tell, okay, there is body language. Um,
Absolutely.
but on the other hand, we also realize, okay, but this is never going to be perfect,
Yeah.
or at least not now. But when we started our alpha testing, we figured out that it doesn't need to be perfect. Actually, that's the fun part of the game.
It
Like,
is. Yeah.
even if the people are moving like quite strangely, as long as they get their act together when there is a serious poker hand at the table, and they always, almost every time, no one fools around if there's a big stack on the table.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I
they play
remember when we
very,
first joined, we were doing the same thing. We were headbutting each other. We remember this kind of inverse kinematics from RiffMax was a social application, and had the same thing. And I kind of miss it here in VRChat. We don't actually utilize that. But you could see somebody and their leans or how they're posturing, or you could probably see if they get really upset. You could probably start getting that from their body language. So
yeah.
you like that, and tell me more about like the subtle body language that comes from that.
Yeah, so I mean, right now it's we're not interpreting anything. So we're not saying that because you had a like glitch or something, like you nodded a bit or shaked a bit, then that should be interpreted as something of subjective value. So saying, okay, that guy
Right.
is frowning or things like that. But we what we are doing is we're letting the community evolve those kind of interpretations. So the first day we launched the game, we just told people to pay attention to the body language, see if that helps them. And from that point to now, it's always like if you watch our Twitch streams, somebody would be saying, yeah, okay, yeah, I know because you're moving this kind of movement or you're moving in this way. I know that you're either bluffing or not, and that is the ideal scenario that you can go to, that the community comes up with. Just like in real life how poker works, there are no set rules, but you basically try to discern a pattern of how the body language plays a part in the game. So that's very exciting that that's starting to happen. Yeah.
Right, and this is DK2 days. This is super early, so a year or two from now, obviously that's gonna change. Going to change with touch controllers and beyond. So what are you seeing? Yeah, of course you're seeing touch controllers because we all are. So maybe talk a little bit about that and even beyond touch.
Yeah. Touch controllers are exciting. But first of all, this is DK2 days. In our office, there's a big banner saying these are the good old days.
Oh yeah, love the good old days.
Yeah. Good old painstaking days.
Mm-hmm.
But so I mean the obvious next step is to have hands in there. So there are a couple of ways you can do that right now with something of a viable consumer level. One is obviously Oculus Touch or the Vive controllers. The other would be something like a Leap Motion or infrared camera doing the part. We quickly figured out that in terms of the kind of precision that we want. Anything like leap motion would not work, because if you want to shuffle your cards or if you want to play with your chips, so on and so forth, that kind of precision the technology doesn't provide. But um, uh, you know, Oculus Touch integration would be amazing, because you cannot imagine, like, if you right now play our game, you have to look at the cards and they pop up and it's intuitive, but then you would have to exactly make that movement to look at your cards and like roll them over or play with your chips or like throw your chips to go all in or push them. And we have been testing a bit of what these kind of gestures can bring to the game. And I'm super excited about something like this. However, we also like as a poker game, we we don't necessarily think that PC VR or console VR, for that matter, is going to be the only platform for us. So we're quite dedicated in making a game that works seamlessly in between mobile VR and PC or console VR. Just to drive up more people in the casino, so that they can the more people that are playing, that is better for the game, that is better for the experience. Um, so even before touch, that is the focus right now, is to have very distinct experiences, but seamless integration between these two fields. Then afterwards, we would probably move on to touch, and then as VR evolves or as the industry evolves, think about facial recognition. That is going to be the key. Even before that, even eye tracking could be so huge. I mean, right now, technically, eye tracking it makes foveated rendering possible. So
Right.
that's a pretty big thing in making, like, for example, we can go on to make even like we can transport you to Vegas, and you feel like, okay, yeah, this is photorealistic Vegas in a year or two. But more importantly, with eye tracking, just so how body language is important in poker, where your eyes are looking are even, or how much they're blinking are even more important in poker or in any social casino game. So it's exciting. On one hand, we are also lucky that a lot of the research that the rest of the industry is doing in making VR possible also kind of overlaps with our use case, because our use case is really making social presence as realistic as possible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're up to the same stuff here. It's really just about us getting our digital bodies, our virtual avatars, so that we can do all of these things, and that's what's needed to do real life-like things in this virtual world, and that it's no surprising that that would translate over to casino. It's really interesting that you talk about the different body language, how facial recognition, or of course the tells just in blinking. I never really even thought about that.
Yeah. I mean, blinking is a huge thing, dude. Like in poker, I mean, eye tracking, you can definitely integrate that. So yeah.
Cool. So what about gear though? You want to expand into the gear, which I think is smart. If any social, experience can do that, that just makes more sense, more users. But then you lose the positional tracking. Then you lose the ability to have as much fidelity. What are your thoughts? How are you going to deal with that?
Yeah, so unfortunately I cannot comment that much on it, but the way we are approaching gear versus PC is not exactly that we're saying that it's going to be similar, like same experiences. So a PC VR gives us the ideal case scenario where you can have the best experience possible in virtual reality for any casino game, right? But on the other hand, gear also gives us an opportunity of letting go of some of that realistic or realism features, but into like making a game that is a bit more social, bit more casual, and then seeing how they both interplay with each other. Maybe we convince people to invest into like realistic VR or high-end VR just because they see, okay, the difference is so big. Like if I can enjoy this game so much on gear, but on a casual level, if I want to be serious, I better get an HTC Vive, an Oculus, or any other VR headset out there for a better experience. That's how we see it. Yeah.
What about then when the gear people are playing the PC people that are they're able to give more tells, but the gear can kind of hide behind that. Wouldn't that be a little bit of an issue? Would you want to group them together?
So yeah, again, this is rather a thing that we see how it evolves.
Sure.
In the beginning, it's actually a premise that we definitely want to test what happens if you group people together and see how that works. The critical part on this is that even without positional tracking, we can because our avatars are quite real, and the IK is working better than what we expected. We can still have quite a high degree of precision in body language even without the positional tracker on. So one cool thing would be that even though like on a Gear VR you see someone as a cartoony avatar, but your counterpart, you for you being seen from the PC perspective would be exactly a realistic person with the movements that are attached. So if I right now don't put, I mean we have also been testing this a bit. If I right now don't specify that this is a person that is joining from Gear and this is a person that is joining from PC, it takes people quite a long time to actually say, okay, yeah, this is actually this is there's something off with his body movement, but yeah, so the body movement works pretty much. It's much more what we would think later on is if the person playing from Gear is as committed of a player or than a person playing from PC, and I think that's going to be a bigger consideration moving forward. But that is something that you'd rather see how it evolves.
Okay, and what I want to do is put up a video of Casino VR on our screens here, and feel free to talk over it. Let me see if I can get that rolling.
Sure, sounds cool. Okay. That's an old video, but it's cool.
Tell us what's changed then.
The UI has changed a bit more, but it captures the game quite okay. So yeah, you're probably seeing right now on the screen how you look at how you look at your own cards. They come up. You look at okay, it's now loading. But when you do, when no worries. When you do get to see it, the key is a very intuitive UI and experience, where with while not hampering presence. So see how the cards come up, see how the chips go in. You just look at the chips. They tell you what the value is, and stuff like this. And even though very simplistic, this is the essence of the game. And the actually the coolest factor that you cannot see in the video, but I've heard a lot of comments about it, is when you lean over into the table, you see your own shadow, exactly how it's supposed to be, and that brings up a wow effect, more than it's not.
Yeah, adds more presence, sure.
Yeah, exactly. And if you notice also the avatars, they were, definitely human. There is a specific reason, again, because of poker, why we went for that, and the movement themselves, how people are moving and everything. That's pretty much it.
Cool, and I have another video of ZimTalk, a Twitcher, playing it, so that might be maybe a little updated. And we get to see the difference.
This is still my favorite video for some reason.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he's a cool streamer. I've been in his chat and enjoy his videos.
No, it's cool to me because as a poker player, he makes a completely blind decision right now. So what's happening is that he wants to leave because he has already been playing for 3 hours, and he just wants to go all in and leave.
Right.
Chicken chestnut. That hit now he shakes.
Alright, that's it. We're going. We're going in.
I mean, you gotta
Take
have
it!
something.
You wanna come in? Let's do
fuck.
it! We're doing it! You're gonna bust me?
Called.
Bust me.
Okay, I'm into.
Oh shit, there's a third guy! I didn't know there was a third guy!
7,600.
I got nines.
I mean, it's cool. You can talk shit. That's a big part of the tells.
This is not good.
Yeah, that depends on the kind of poker player you are. So a lot of poker players want to talk a
Yes!
lot.
Yes! Yes!
That's amazing.
Yes!
I'm a terrible poker
But they
player.
could have queens or aces. If he's betting, he could easily have aces or something. Oh my god, this is a nail biter.
Oh shit.
Go on, Cusick.
What
Push
have I
it.
gotten into it?
Woo! There you go, the bang. This makes good TV. What?
Doesn't three of a kind beat two pair?
Ah, fuck it.
Yes,
It's not
it
real
does.
money.
Now I know where I'm getting my
One's
income.
out of 4. That's not gonna help me. Please, please, please. No, I'm good.
So this is actually a bug in the game,
I'm good.
that always the side pot gets announced first instead of the winning pot. He gets
Ah, right.
confused in
You lose
the
multiple
beginning.
times. Yeah.
Yes!
It says you lost, and then I lost again.
Redeemed! Redeemed!
Huh, that guy's neck's broken.
Yes!
Oh,
Three of a kind! Beckett Dragon, what are you doing? Yes!
There you go.
Woo!
Now you're out.
Now I'm leaving.
Now you're out with a bang.
Now I'm out with a
So right now,
bang.
it's just a ton of fun. It's funny money, but it's gonna evolve into something more serious, where pro players are gonna want to jump in here and dominate.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. But as I said, rather let the game evolve itself into, whether it is the product for only pro players or only serious players or only casual players or a mix of the two.
Gotcha. Okay, so I want to talk about something to me that's an elephant in the room, because I've heard a lot of this complaint. So we're gonna talk about some feedback I've heard, and what was really difficult to me was the locomotion, was the movement on how you get around the environment. There's no way you've escaped this kind of feedback. I want to know if that's going to be fixed in the update, but you obviously know about it. Why did you choose the way you locomote, where you click on the floor and your body moves there slowly?
Yeah, to be honest, the locomotion right now, I'm hearing some noise in the background.
Yeah, I heard something too. Oh, it's over there, Gina Shiad. Can you make sure you're not using your mic all the way on? We really need that to be quiet. So Gina, if you can't figure out how to turn that off, it should be V as in VR, or you can go back to the main menu and kind of figure that out. But we can't proceed, Gina. We need that mic fixed,
Booter.
or we'll have to boot. Gina, welcome to Gunter's universe. Yeah, somebody get in her face. Nosh, another new person. Welcome, Nosh.
Is,
That's
Hey,
weird.
Gina.
Don't you have to be holding a key down to keep the
Well,
mic on?
you don't. If you toggle it always on, then it kind of picks up, like it's, what is it called, when it just picks up when you're talking, and there you go, Gina. Perfect. Yeah.
Alright,
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, the locomotion.
The locomotion, yeah. Yeah, to be honest, that's the locomotion as it is right now in the game. It's not the finished version of what we intended to do. The idea was, and I was also trying this out, when before starting the interview here. You guys pretty much know that free movement in virtual reality can make people nauseated.
Sure.
And we tried out a lot of locomotion systems, from third-person locomotion system to teleporting to free movement to what we have right now. And this was the only solution that we got to, that we had an inkling. Okay, nobody gets sick. That's not the problem. But we definitely need to make it a bit more user intuitive. Like, because for us, locomotion, even though it pisses people off right now, but it's really not the part of the game. The actual game happens on the table.
Sure.
So it's
Well, that makes me think, why don't you just start them at the table, or say, hey, pick your seat?
Yeah, that is I'll answer that. But for us, it's locomotion right now is a fire that we'd rather keep burning. Keep letting burn, but with the consumer release, we would definitely fix it. I can already tell you that it most likely, cannot promise, but most likely there is going to be different locomotion options that you can choose from. So if you're a person that doesn't really mind free movement, you can do that as well. Now, starting from the casino, like why do we make people walk from the door to the actual poker table? Is to give the perception of an actual casino, right? Like, if I see 6 poker tables in front of me, I walk to them, I see which seat I want, I choose that seat, versus I just choose that out of a menu, and just warp in there. It hampers the experience quite a lot. I mean, and also right now is
it's like regular online poker. You just pick a seat. This needs to feel more real. Something
exactly. Yeah, I mean, later on there, I would not be surprised if there's something like, I mean, obviously, why would I be surprised, because I'm building it? That's a bad thing to say. But later on, there could be things like, you enter into a lobby where there's a person, that shows you a list of what are the tables running, what are the stats on the tables, and so on and so forth. And you choose where you want to go, and he follows you around to make sure that you get a best seat and everything, and even asks like if you would like to have a drink from the bar. So that is, we want to really have that real life experience, and we didn't want to hamper that with just porting to a table, even though technically it's much easier to do.
Yeah,
but
like
yeah,
the
locomotion is
heading over to the
definitely
bar.
it's a screw up.
Yeah, I like the bar because you can go over there, maybe have a side conversation with some people, and then have your character look like he's drinking, because maybe that's what you're doing in real life, so the more that you can mimic that would be great. And it really sounds like what I'm hearing with the locomotion is it's just it's hard, but like, why spend all the resources now when really the main focus is the poker? Let's spend your developer resources there, and at the end of the day, you're going to have these options for people. You're going to have the free movement, or possibly the teleport, or this other, solution that you guys have come up with. But I'm glad to hear that, obviously you recognize it. It's just really what I've heard from the people that have gone there and come over here, because a lot of people that come here like to try out all social experiences, and they've been playing in your tournaments over there, and it just sounds really awesome, but they just don't understand the movement. But we're also the guys that have been here since DK1, and we're gamers. We're used to free movement, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's very valid feedback. We knew when we were launching that this locomotion system, as it is not it. We would hear a lot of flack, and rightly so. So a lot of your guys' concern is completely right about locomotion, but I just hope you bear with us as we move towards, making a better experience.
I think we will. I mean, we understand that. We understand what it's like to bear with things. People bear with my show here, which is not perfect yet. So it's just good to hear that. So appreciate you chiming in on that. But let's slide to the tournaments. This is so exciting. I think the first tournament I heard about, these are things you're doing every weekend. The first one was an upload party in CES at CES in Las Vegas. How appropriate was that? How was that tournament? What was that party like?
Yeah, the party was awesome, but so the idea was that we have an actual real life poker table at the party, um, with around 6 PCs hooked up at the poker table. But if you sit at that if you sit at that poker table, you have to put on a VR headset and you play in casino VR. So unfortunately, what ended up happening was, because there was a lot of interest in people wanting to play that tournament, was that our casino was already full half an hour before the tournament or the party even began. So by the by the time we were able to set up all the hardware for the party, all the seats were taken.
Right. Well, that's a good problem.
Yeah, that was a very good problem. So I was ecstatic. But it was all really cool to show people at that party how what it feels like to have full casino in virtual reality. But apart from that, it was phenomenal. So we had around 120 people who went into the game, but we made it a bit exclusive. So we said only 35 people can play the game at any point in time. So that means that, I mean, if the casino was full already half an hour before, then a lot of people were just coming in, waiting to get a table or to get a seat. Some people were lucky, somebody bust out so they could sit. The other people were not lucky. But in terms of numbers, I think it ended up being one of the biggest VR gatherings in the industry up till now, which is again very exciting. So we had around 60 people who played the tournament, who took part. Around 40 people who played it till the end. So that means
wow, cool.
That means the people who went to zero, so they lost all their money, and that is the only reason that they went out of the game. So yeah, it was really cool. It was also very exciting to see that nothing on our servers broke down.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah, that's great. There's always something, but that was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there were some problems with there were, if there were like 60 avatars in that casino, so there were some performance issues. But that was again some of the things that we wanted to test with an event like this. But most importantly, the poker game was great. It was exactly what you expect out of a poker game that you see on WSOP, or if you visit Vegas or something. That it was high intensity, very suspenseful. game of poker where, again, in the end, the most skillful person won. So we have that kind of structure that the top 7 players would can only play for the last 1 hour. The other people would just get booted, and the game among those 7 was phenomenal. The grit, the tensions. I heard later on that people were shaking still after that experience because of they couldn't believe that they won that much or they lost that much. And that is the most exciting part in our casino.
Oh man, that's really cool to hear. Yeah, yeah. High stakes. I guess at that tournament, is that where the winner would get a CV1 pre-order?
Exactly. So
That's huge.
yeah, it's huge, but that's also how the poker industry works. So
Yeah.
Oh, I
normal.
was there. I was in that one.
Oh shoot. Pizzy
No,
behind you.
we're oh
I
yeah,
was tips
Pizzy.
leader for a while. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope you had fun, dude. I cannot see you because you're behind me. But
Oh yeah, no problem.
yeah, there you are. So yeah, it's the point of us running poker tournaments is twofold. First is that we want to see what could be the eventual gamification of the game. How do people compete with each other, and so on and so forth. And we're building a gamification model for that. The second thing is to see that right now, as I'm putting DK2 on my head, and I can pretty much say that for every one of you here is that you don't mind using, still in a very non-ergonomic or ergonomic piece of hardware. But if the experience is good, you don't mind, being immersed and playing for long hours. What is more exciting about us is that every weekend the poker tournament that we run ends up going to at least 3 hours. Normally the average is 3.5 to 4 hours, and people play that even without any gamification. So it goes to show that poker is not dead. Online
Right.
poker can be revived.
Super cool. So talk more about the business model. I believe I heard you at SVVR talking about people being able to buy more chips, maybe buy things for their avatar. So talk about that. Also, eventually then, what about using Bitcoin and other digital currencies, and then I guess you would need to maybe get help from some other back end to deal with kind of that hardcore stuff that I'm sure there's people out there that do that.
Yeah. So first on the business model. So right now we envision the game to be a social casino, which means that it's not real gambling. It basically works like any social game that there is out there that you have. You can buy additional things. For example, like if you guys play Dota or something like that, that you invest into making your presence in the game better, that you can show off to your friends, and it's more like a competitive thing. So for that, we are working on having a model that revolves around having some cool experiences, drinks that we just, for example, talked about the fact that you can order a real drink, um, and have that kind of experience. The fact that you can customize your avatars, even though they're quite realistic, to whatever you want, to different kind of announcements, or celebration schemes. But the best example that I have really is, imagine as the chip leader, you getting Morgan Freeman to stand beside you, so just that he can curse on the other players on your behalf. you know,
Wow.
stuff like that.
Or
Stuff
like
like
Arnold
that.
Schwarzenegger could be quite fun, I could imagine.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's there are a lot of things that you can do. We don't want to make a game that is pay to play. I think we would always have this thing that as a poker player or as just a casino player, that you can have that experience without the game being just free. But as you move on, as you are more engaged into the game, it's up to you whether you want to, have these other cool experiences, and that's what we're more focused on. Now, coming to the Bitcoin thing or to the real money side, unfortunately, that's one of the things that I cannot comment on as of right now, whether or not we would do anything like that and when.
Sure. I mean, there's got to be a lot of hurdles there. Personally, I can't imagine that you wouldn't want to at least explore that, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are looking at the product that would love to use it in that sort of way. So if it is something that's going to happen, I'm sure it'll be later on the road, but it's pretty exciting. It's a good time to have digital currencies. They can facilitate this sort of stuff, and maybe someday I'll lose my life savings and and then I'll be begging for a coin here on my show. Please help me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the other crazy thing is if virtual reality comes up with its own currency, that would be crazy, dude. Like
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
10 years from now. Like if you have your own interchangeable currency and every application uses that currency, that would be rad completely. Yeah.
Starts getting in, makes me think of Ready Player One and the Oasis.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually, the VR currency becomes more has more weight than any real life currency, which is just wild.
Yeah.
Cool. What else I got here on my list to ask you? I think there are some people trying to do the similar thing, casino experiences. I don't know their names, but I don't know if you're aware of them. But what would you think that's going to separate you from competitors in the future?
Yeah, no, there are quite a lot of players already in the market. That goes to show that there's interest in the industry. So it's actually good rather than bad. But one thing that I've noticed is personally that a lot of other players, they're focusing on more early monetization, non-social experiences. So there are a lot of companies that are doing slots in virtual reality. Um, Whereas we are more focused on, getting that social experience right and then expanding from there and seeing, what works, what doesn't work. So that's the biggest differentiating factor in terms of the product and the experience that we have, I think, which would be the one that we would be able to retain. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, social VR for the win. All right, so I have just basically another question about the future, but if everybody could think about questions they'd like to ask, it'll be that time right after this last question, so feel free to get those ready. So yeah, my last question basically is, what's for the future? What kind of updates you got coming out and anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, so we have actually delayed the Gear VR version because we figured out that there were some things that needed quite considerable more polish. But pretty soon you would have a Gear VR version that works interchangeably with PC. Again, the same thing that we talked about before, you joining from PC and me joining from Gear. We can have vastly different experiences without compromising each other experiences, but be on the same room in the same table. Um, Apart from that, there's just a huge list of things that we are currently, trying to optimize for, making the game ready for the consumer release. There are, gamification is a big part of it. Locomotion is another part of it. Animation is another big chunk that we're working on. So it's just like work and work ahead. But I cannot say right now what would come first and what would come later. But we try to give at least bi-weekly updates with improvements into the game.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen some of that, some of the notes on that. So it's good to hear. And actually, I forgot to ask about your team. How big is your team?
In total, we're 14.
Nice. All right, so you guys are really armed to take care of this, to really bring Casino VR to, well, we hope the masses. Maybe this year, maybe it'll be next year when we really see the mass adoption. But super exciting.
Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, I mean, this a lot of the things that we have been working on require that kind of team or that kind of scale. So let's see. We are excited about the product right now and what we think is lies ahead. We really hope that you guys or VR enthusiasts agree with us, or if not, then point us into a right direction. So feedback matters a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys. Any questions from the audience? Just say your name. Say your question.
Hi, my name's Deadhead, and I have a question.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah. Would you be willing to talk about some of your projects that you're not quite finished yet? Like, I know you have Casino VR, but do you have anything else on the back burner as of late?
Okay, so as I said, there are 3 projects in total that we're currently committed to on the venture studio or VR studio side of things. One, unfortunately, I cannot say anything about, but the other one is, I find it quite exhilarating. Is in-flight entertainment made possible through virtual reality. There are a lot of technical challenges, obviously, but if it could work, screw that small screen in front of you that you always have to bear while you're taking a long haul flight. You just put on a VR headset and boom, you let go of your jet lag. You forget that you're on a very confined small space. You explore virtual reality.
Absolutely. I did that with my gear on the plane. What a great thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great conversation starter, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I also have another question. You have quite a large team for Casino VR. How does one get the connections and like keep the team together so the company doesn't really die under its own weight in a niche so small as VR is at the moment?
That's a very good question. So I tell you how we did it. So in the beginning, when we started all of this, even before Casino VR, when we started the VR venture studio, we realized that we have to do a lot, and also have to do a lot of research on our part, because back then VR was quite new, and for that we need a strong team. But then, quite quickly, we also came to a realization that we're still a startup and we probably run out of money in the next month if we, get people from the Valley or from Europe, right?
Right.
So what happened was that I'm from Pakistan originally, um, and I ended up going back and I started looking at what the gaming companies there are doing. And the kind of experiences the people on the top level have, and so on and so forth. And after a painstaking period of 6 months of hiring and firing people, we actually ended up with 3 key people that had the necessary experience, had the right mindset, and were extremely excited about virtual reality. And from that point on, we just took it from there. So we grew it, as more projects keep on coming in, as projects like Casino VR went on to become, went on to turn into actual products. So most of this 12-member team, we have them already since, I would say, 14 months, most of all of them. So it's really, like, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that there is no better motivation um, in a company than a very ambitious challenge. And if
I
nothing,
agree.
and if nothing, VR provides that challenge. Like especially to the game industry people, including me. Like this is our dream come true. Like this is finally happening. Like sometimes I just wake up and think to myself still, okay, this is finally happening. And that is just the emotion, that is just the passion that you need to convey throughout the company. And if you do that well, then you go on to retain really smart people and be honored that they work on the same challenges as you are doing.
Thank you for that great answer.
That was a great question, dude.
Yeah. Other questions, just shout them out.
Oh yeah, do you have any like interesting tournaments coming up?
Hey,
Like,
Pizzy,
any
I was
cool
gonna,
prizes?
yeah, why don't you come over here so Hamza doesn't have to look over there.
Do you have any cool tournaments coming up?
Yeah. Actually, I forgot to mention that. So, Pizzy, did you take part in the last weekend's tournament?
No, I was in the CV1 tournament.
Okay, so you probably realized that the structure of the tournament on CV was a bit strange because it was time bound, like 3 hours, then 1 hour.
Yeah, I
that
didn't mind it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not really how poker tournaments go. So
Oh,
right now
right.
we have just last week we introduced a new structure of the tournament, which makes the game much more aggressive. So what happens is that after every 20 minutes, your blinds start increasing automatically. So you cannot wait that much. You have to you know gamble and make a bet like, okay, if I don't take part in this round, then I lose more money than I'm supposed to gain. And that happens throughout the whole period of time. And the with this structure, you don't have it like, okay, end of 4 hours, the top person who has the most chip, but it's really like one person who was able to bust out everyone else. So everyone went to zero, and he is the only one that is left with chips. So this is what we introduced last week, and it's going to continue this week, but with two iterations. So on Sunday we would have, Saturday we would have a normal poker tournament that is expected to run between 3 to 4 hours, um, with normal blind increases and stuff like that. But on Sunday we have a much faster version of the same, where the game would be much more aggressive, it would be much more faster, and even though no matter how many people that play, we expect it to only last for 2 hours, but that means that there would be a lot of aggressive players in there. So if you're excited about any of that, do come in and check that out, dude.
All right, cool. Do you have any like any special like big like prizes anytime soon? I'm just curious.
That I cannot right now say, but yeah, I mean
Okay.
that
I get your
that
emails. I'm on your email list, so.
all right, cool. I hope you haven't unsubscribed by now.
No, I'm still subscribed.
I'm subscribed as well.
Alright, cool. Thanks. Sometimes I just feel like if I'm spamming people too much, but
Oh man, same thing here. Same thing here. I send out my email before every show, and yeah, only a couple of people have unsubscribed, so it's cool. They let you know when they unsubscribe, so you'll figure out if you're doing something wrong pretty fast.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Keep the
Are
questions
you being
coming.
funded by VC, or are you doing contract work for other companies?
So we have raised a couple of small rounds back in Europe, and right now we are in the middle of another round.
Cool.
But I cannot say names at this point.
Somebody's waving their hand. Unfortunately, your name tag isn't showing above your head. He's to your right. He's the one down here and has his hands moving, but hopefully your mic's working. You're working.
Yeah, it's working, dude.
Nice, awesome. Hello.
What's your name?
I think Casino VR is super awesome. I'm Onion Burst. Some of you might
Onion
know
Burst,
me
what's
already
up, dude?
on Oculus.
Hey, I really like Casino VR and the idea. I don't know if you went over this, but in the future, what do you see Casino VR becoming? Do you see it staying more like how it is animation-based and automatic action, or are you looking to make it like just real-life based, like players with motion controllers picking up cards and dealing them out and doing it like real life?
We definitely want to go more towards real life. But it's just a matter of when the technology is right to completely leaving it up for the player to pick up those cards, right? Like we would definitely be giving people options that integrates more and more real life features, but with the but also making sure that the experience is intuitive enough for everyone. So, but real life for the win, dude. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, for sure. Me too, man.
Thanks, dude. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
If you got more questions, time to ask them. We'll be wrapping up right after this.
Yeah, I've got one.
Zarin, what's up, dude?
Hi there.
Yep. Man.
So, yeah, I guess my question was, your opinion on the sort of more ethical concerns of VR casinos. So I know, like, for you guys it's not too much of an issue because you're sort of focusing on poker and social gameplay. But, like, the people who are doing sort of slot machines and sort of making that as addictive as they can to try and keep people in there and spending money. I guess, what do you think of that sort of stuff and how that'll sort of progress in the future?
What I can say is that I don't necessarily agree with really how the industry is structured right now, in terms of how addicting a game gets and how you start to monetize on it. But unfortunately, I cannot say much more about like whether it's only social casino or it's also going to be real life part of it. But every day we do think about to not step that bound over, because to not make a product that is too real in the end, right? Like if you just spend time in just virtual reality in a casino, that's probably not the time, that not the best use of all of your time. If you can have a good balance of people enjoying different VR experiences, I think that would be good.
That was intense, man. Like, I never even took a bathroom break when I was in the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you did, someone probably go look at your cards. You gotta be careful.
Yeah. It's cool. We see Zarin over there sporting the Vive, and Onionburst, I believe, is the Hydra, which is why your hand's flipped around.
High five.
Oh!
Motion controls for the win. Good old days.
Can I also ask some questions if you guys are done, or if you have some time?
Oh, that'd be great.
Are there any like people from the VRChat team here?
There is not. I mean, me and Pill are part of the team, but we are events manager, me, and marketing. We are Pill. So not the developers, Graham and Jesse. They are not here tonight.
Okay, cool. How many people do you have in total at VRChat?
Right, so me, Pill, and Mr. Q is a tester and just a wizard here are on a part-time situation, but there are, Pill, you can correct me now, 4, but I don't know if that's including Jesse and Graham. I
There
don't know
would be,
they're all
as
full-time.
far as full-timers, Jesse, Graham, Q, and Dan, and the sound guy, so that'd be 5.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, we just got a sound guy in, so we're pretty stoked about that. I keep getting people complaining about my sound here on the show.
Yeah, sound is very important, dude. No, the reason why I was asking is that I really like this what you guys are doing. But I have some recommendations or something about how you're technically dealing with some of the things in terms of loading and stuff that we can talk about later if you guys want.
Sure, yeah, might as well talk after the show, but we're really open. We have a town hall meeting on Mondays where we invite the whole community out to basically give us that sort of feedback. So, yeah,
Cool.
we'll talk afterwards. The show is definitely running a bit long. But if
Yeah,
you have any
I lost
questions
track
for
of
the
time.
audience of the that's how it goes here. We don't have a clock in here, which is one of the features people have been asking for at the town hall meeting. Do you have other questions, like for the people maybe that have been here, that's been to your app, or?
Now, just one question. How many of you have played Casino VR?
I have.
I have.
I have.
Official gambling addict.
Bob has, Cause and Effects has too.
Yep.
I think it's 5 others that aren't here that hung out with us over there.
Yeah, I hung out with people from here over there.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Yeah, if you guys, I'm sorry if I missed this, but if you guys are going to have gear support, do you have a projected time of release?
We do, but it's, I'd rather not say right now.
Okay.
Like, I mean, we do internally, but it's actually a very non-answer. I'm sorry for this answer. I just realized in the middle of this answer, this is bullshit what I'm talking about. Yeah, of course we do have a timeline, but you know, it's non-existent for you.
Okay.
And you
No,
don't
no,
wanna
but
oversell and underpromise. You know, you gotta
exactly,
work hard to
that's
hit these days.
yeah. So we'd rather you know, release the game when we think the experience is ready.
Okay.
But
Will be
it should be
months
soon.
or years.
Yeah, this is the classic Palmer's thing, you know, like more eons, man.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
One thing I noticed about Casino VR is now how do you speak again in there? Because one thing I see a lot of is you know, they're really realistic, you know, sort of looks when people are sitting at a table and staring at you, and a lot of people just sit there and creepily stare at me, and and I don't think they're talking. So I was wondering, how do you speak in Casino VR again?
So, if you're using an Xbox controller, it's basically push to talk. So, D-pad up would be push to talk, and then I think P on the keyboard, something like that. But you're completely right. Like the experience is really not complete without sound or without you talking to people. But right now we cannot force people to have you have to have sound in there. But as with a lot of consumer hardware, you know, microphones and headphones are going to be an integral part. So a lot of that problem would be solved automatically because just we would know, okay, that hardware definitely has, you know, a mic and a headphone in there, so we can encourage people to talk more.
Gotcha. If it's for, you know, real money, one thing I think could be beneficial is having different brackets for people with mics and without mics, because I can see that being a distinct advantage on one side, you know,
Definitely.
not hearing anything.
Definitely, you're completely right. You're completely right.
Or like always keying the mic in tournaments.
Cool. All right. Great questions. I'm going to wrap things up, and then we can do more questions and hang out and all that afterwards. Really appreciate Hamza coming out from Casino VR. Where can people find you, or where would you like to point them?
So you can find this either on Oculus Share, or more importantly, go to our website, casino-vr.com. Just last week, we finally launched our blogs. There are some cool posts about there, how, you know, what we have been doing with Casino VR, with some of the innovations that we have been doing. Dude, this is super creepy.
Onion burst. What are you doing, man? It's a pro gig here. Can't you tell? It's just professional.
Yeah, so go to casino-vr.com. It will also be the first place to get to know about any updates, about a recap of our events, how the story evolves of the game, and also the Gear VR version. So casino-vr.com and check out our weekly events and blogs.
Awesome. Just a couple announcements and plugs from me. Starting today, VR Pill, over here to my right, will revolutionize the language learning industry with the first ever social VR-based language curriculum in Japanese. So he has a room for that. We can check that out. Also on Sundays, every Sunday for the last 2 years, we've been doing our Sunday meetup, so come out for that. It's really awesome. There's people from all across the world. We talk about the greatest and latest in VR, and then we go explore rooms that have been created, worlds that have been created, universes that have been created by the people here in VRChat. We have an amazing community. This is a great way to learn Unity, too, so come on out. Next week, I have Dylan Flynn of Rothenberg Ventures on the show. Can't wait to talk to him. The week after is Chris Millar of Funbits, the makers of the awesomely fun Fat Princess PS4 title. So come and check those shows out. Support me by going to guntersuniverse.com, by leaving comments on the Reddit post and tweeting, retweeting things. It's always very helpful. And if you're really a big fan, you can join the I wouldn't say many, it's a handful of people donating to my Patreon over at patreon.com/Gunter. I really appreciate that. It just keeps me going, and someday I'll do this full time and won't have to work that web dev job that I do during the day. Thank you
Support,
to the
y'all.
Gunters Universe. Yeah, grow up and support if you enjoy it. Thanks to the Gunters Universe team, again to those Patreons. Those are people are awesome. My guest tonight, Hamza, and everyone watching in the audience and from the stream and YouTube. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next Tuesday back here in Gunters Universe. See ya.
Woo!
Yeah.
Some music.
Where's the
dancing, but not today. It's broken. So,
Put your hands up.
I
Put
like
your
it.
hands up. Somebody's already ahead of us.
Awesome
Put
show,
your hands
man.
up.
I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Normally it's quite awesome. And music and even beginner's music is pretty cool.
Oh man, I love the anonymous guy who's just doing weird things with his hands.
This is Onionverse.
Nice.
Oh, Onionverse. Oh, okay.
Hey, Macarena.
I just put a YouTube video up of that. I snuck up on it.
Doing the Macarena
Tune of You Trust My Tra-La-La.
Cool, guys.
It takes a while to get used to these Vive controls.
Alright guys, thanks a lot for
What was
having
that
me.
feedback?